All right, guys, I'm here at Shuri Castle in Okinawa, Japan, and I'll tell you kind of why I chose this spot for this video here in a moment. But in this particular lesson, we're looking at God's promise with Abraham, or actually Abram at this point. We already saw before with Genesis 15 and 16, God's already promised Abram, if you obey me, I'll bless those who bless you, curse those who curse you. I'll bless all nations through you, and I'll make you into a great nation. I'll make your descendants multiple like the stars of the sky. And we see reaffirmation of this in Genesis 15, where right after Abram saved Lot from the kings, God comes to Abram and says, I will be your shield, I am your protector. And Abram responds to God, well, what can you do for me? I have no descendants. And God reaffirms the promise that from Abram will come a seed, will come a people as numerous as the stars in the sky. And he tells Abram to trust him, and Abram did, and it's counted to him as righteousness. He trusts God. But in the course of him trusting God, given some time, him and Hagar, actually him and Sarai, not Hagar, him and Sarai, try to rush the promise of God, if you will. And Sarai's like, I'm not having kids. Why don't you take my servant Hagar? And we see more of this in the lesson in particular. And so Abram agrees. He agrees to this and takes Hagar and has a child through Hagar. The child's name is Ishmael. And so they're trying to do God's plan for God. God told Abram, I'll bring a descendant from your line, and from the descendant will come the nation. So they're trying to help God out. They're doing it in their own way. They did not wait on God's timetable and what God had in store. And although Ishmael will be a blessed son of Abram, he's not the promised son. And that's going to be Isaac coming later on through Sarai. But what we see there is them trying to help God out, trying to rush the promise of God. They're trying to do God's will in their own way. And it's interesting being here in Japan, such a unique opportunity. Just wrapped up a conference here in Okinawa, the All Asian Creation Conference. Such a blessing to be here, be with God's people just on the other side of the world. And we talked about so many different things, but as we are here, me and my friend David, who kind of walking around, meeting the people, we recognize the people, they're so sweet, they're so humble, they're so servant-oriented, they're very nice. This area is amazingly different than America in a lot of ways. It's very safe comparatively. You can leave your bike unchained if you want by the mall. You can let your kids literally walk from school to your home miles away if they're 5, 6, or 7, because they will be safe, they will be protected. It's a very moral land, and that's a good thing. We praise God for that. But as me and my friend were talking about this, we recognize, you know what, even though it's moral, and that's a good thing, and we're so grateful for the sweet spirit of the people, in a sense, they're trying to accomplish their own salvation. Because you see, in Japan, it's the second most secular nation in the world. Even though there are moral people, they're not, in many cases, following God's law. They're not actually going to Christ for salvation. They're trying to get salvation in their own way, by their own principles. They're trying to do God's will their own way, in a real sense. And that's similar to what Abraham or Abram and Sarai were doing. There was God's plan, but they try to do God's plan in their own way. In a real sense, when we try to accomplish our own salvation through our own means, whether it's through conquest or through just a humble spirit, either way, if it's not God's way, it's still rebellion. And so the point of what we're trying to bring home here is that ultimately this is about doing God's will in God's way, in God's timing. When we do that, we see Him work amazingly to His glory.